The Strong Style Roulette kicked off with a bang in the last episode after the Heavyweight Championship changed hands in the first round. With the championship semi-final and finals still to play for, will the most unpredictable tournament in wrestling throw us more curveballs? Not only that, but we begin to plan a future without some of our long-time talent as we continue to usher in a brand new era of Strong Style Americas. And if you haven't already, drop a like on this video to push it to 400 likes to help unlock the next episode. Head over to Patreon where you can play the save from this series yourself, and go to TEWDB.com to purchase TEW IX using the banner at the top of the site. And we're back in the save then, and we don't have too much admin to do before we get into the show, but we do have a few bits that we need to get through, so let's get to that, and then we can go straight into Strong Style 43, which actually goes down tomorrow night. So the first thing we need to do is apply a turn to Zeta Zhang, who's in a heel faction, but I haven't actually turned her yet, so we need to do that at some point, likely in the next show, or we might let the game build towards it, but we will see. We're actually going to take another look at production, which we've been going through recently and trying to upgrade as much as we can. And while I've been aiming to make sure that we make a profit on the night for shows, I'm kind of thinking that we should look at it in a broader sense, and as long as we're making profit monthly, we can kind of afford to make the upgrades that we need to do. So we can spend an additional sort of 6,000 on production. We probably won't go that high, but we will be making a couple more investments into production to make sure that we're not getting as many penalties as we have been. So if we go to production, let's just double check the costs of the next upgrades for the first three on this list. So for production values, it's going to cost $1,000 to do, $1,500 per month, and then $500 of shows. So I think we're actually going to do that one. And that actually only sees a $350 increase of spend on the night. So that won't affect our show profit, but it will take away what we make per month with it costing $1,500 as opposed to free. And it would take us one level behind Reality of Wrestling and TNA. So yeah, let's get that done. And for live event experience, I think we're going to actually upgrade this one as well. It's going to be an additional $2,000 per night, but I think we should still be turning a profit per month if we do this one. So I think this will be the last upgrade we make, but this will mean that every single level that we're on is no longer on level 1. And yeah, this is the last level 1 that we've got to upgrade. So we're going to go through with that, and that does bring us on par with our rivals there. But we will hold off on broadcast quality. We're currently on level 2. To get up to level 3, it's going to cost an additional actually $2,000 per night at shows, because we're already spending $500 and this will be $2,500. So yeah, I think we're going to leave it at those two upgrades for now, but we're definitely getting closer to being at industry standard pretty much for independents in the United States. For those wondering, I did re-add Dave Prazak to the commentary team off camera, so I haven't forgot about that one. We're actually going to give AJ Mendez also a new client. Of course, she currently manages Wardlow, but we're going to actually test her out with LJ Cleary, who I think kind of has gone a little bit stale as of late, and this could be potential for a new stable within the company, that being AJ, Wardlow, and LJ. However, for now, I'm just going to keep them sort of separate and doing their own thing, but with AJ managing them both. But we also need to change LJ's gimmick, as it's currently adequate, and you'll notice there that it's also a fan favorite gimmick. And of course, he recently turned heel, and this was pointed out to me in the comments by Leroy Orff, so shout out to you. And he mentioned how the gimmick is still fan favorite. So we're going to give him a heel gimmick and go from there. But let's first find out which kind of gimmick we're going to use. So apparently you can use Swagger and Weasley/Underdog. And he's currently a Weasley/Underdog style gimmick, but his rating is still only adequate. So I think we're going to switch it up and change it to a Swagger gimmick. So of course, Swagger gimmicks are where the worker has noted confident and cool air, which I think is the kind of vibe that Cleary should go for. And let's get some inspiration actually for a gimmick. So let's see what comes up. And I think we should probably just go with something quite generic. So either cocky youth, or potentially egomaniac. Even obnoxious would be pretty good. Prima donna. But I think we're going to go with cocky youth. So he's still quite young. He's only 28, I believe. And in terms of a wrestler, anyway, he's still a youngster. So let's go with that and see how that fares when he and AJ appear on screen together. So we'll probably do that gimmick change on the next show. Another thing that we need to do, and this was also recommended in the comments by B. Guzman C, who mentioned that we should probably speak to Matt Riddle about his alcohol and drug use and try and persuade him to be off it. However, one thing that he did note in a reply to this comment is that it's better off waiting until he has a good morale. So we're going to try and build up his morale in this episode using things like character ideas and praising him after shows. However, I'm not necessarily certain that Matt Riddle is long for this series, at least in the short term, as he's quite expensive and he's over $1,000. There's a potential that he's going to be cut. So I recently showed this spreadsheet in a recent episode where I've got a certain amount of faces and a certain amount of heels that I want in each division. And this is kind of where I'm at right now. And the names that are in here are, of course, people that we want to keep. So I've got 8 heavyweights, 8 junior heavyweights, 4 women, and 8 women that will be competing in the women's tag team division. Now, of course, naturally, there's going to be crossover between those 2 divisions, but this is kind of just to give us a good idea of how many people we need, and I think that's a good balance at the minute. And we also have a lot of local workers that we'd like to use for the women's division as well that can come in, but that don't necessarily have to be on contracts. However, this does leave a few people without a role in the company. So you can see here that Eric Hammer hasn't made the cut just yet, this following the signing of Channing Thomas. Also, Matt Riddle isn't on the list right now because of his contract. But what we are going to do is give Eric Hammer one more program, and then we're probably going to let him go or transition him backstage or whatever else. And for Matt Riddle, we're just going to let his contract expire, so he won't be being released. I think he's got around 1 or 2 months left on his deal. But what I will also say is that's not a 100% decision, and we might keep him around, but this is kind of the roster that we're building towards. Casey Jacobs is also on the list, but he's also on the booking team. So what I've done for now is taken away his wrestling role in his contract. And basically at the minute he doesn't have a role. And also Adam Priest is also on here after his injury last year or the year before. And he hasn't been the same since. So he is also on the chopping block. But as I say, this is a provisional list and we're not going to actually make any cuts just this second. However, this does give us a sort of roster to build towards, and you might actually notice a name on the list that we haven't signed yet, and that being Brooke Havoc. So there was one babyface spot left in the women's division, and yeah, Brooke is going to be filling that role, and we're actually going to be signing her right now, and that'll be the last piece of admin that we do before we get into tomorrow night's show. So let's do that. So Brooke is 28 years old, a graduate of the Nightmare Factory, which is of course Cody Rhodes' school. She's 5'5" and 131 pounds, so she's very much an underdog. And yeah, I think that kind of fits perfectly for what we need in the women's division. She's also a high flyer. She's based in the Southwest, so we don't need to pay travel. She's got a lively personality as well, which I've found is one of the best ones. And yeah, she's going to make everybody happy quite a lot. She's also a stunt woman, or it says stunt man there, but yeah, she's willing to take crazy bumps if necessary. So yeah, maybe we'll use that going forward. And also she's easily marketable. So I think that she's definitely someone that can find a spot on our roster. And with us having a heel champion right now in Miranda Elise, we need some baby faces to build up. So that's what we're going to do with Brooke. As for her popularity, she's not massively over in the United States at the minute. Her highest popularity is 37 in the tri-state, and in the Mid-South, where we're based, of course, she's got 27. So there's definitely work to do, and I think she does have the potential to reach higher popularity with having 55 aerial, something that could definitely be improved on. But you can see here that her skills have been going up over the past year. So last February she was on 50 aerial and she's currently 55, and yeah, she's improving quite a lot across the board there, and that's something that hopefully continues after we sign her. She's got 84 basics, 84 consistency, 89 safety, which is how I found her because I've filtered those attributes to be quite high. She's got 70 charisma as well, 44 mic, so there's some catching up to do there between the two, but yeah, 70 charisma should definitely help her in segments. Let's find out though how her matches have been rating so far, or at least her individual performances. So if we look at her last match, which was in January 2028, only a few days ago, she got a rating of 48, so that's definitely solid. And the one before that was 49, and the one before that was 46, so that's kind of what we're looking at. But yeah, as I say, I think that can definitely improve going forward. So let's bring her in then. And I am actually tempted to get her on an exclusive deal, which would see her leave GCW, but I think we're better off letting her work there as well, even though they are bigger than us and there might be some clashes with the schedule, but getting more reps will help her in the ring. So let's get that done then. And we're going to apply our typical written contract, and we're going to offer her a 5-year deal to try and keep her at this wage for as long as possible. And we're going to just go from there, even though merchandise is currently 0%, and yeah, I had a feeling she'd ask for more. So we're going to try 10%, and she seems happy with that deal, which is good. So no travel, $140 per show, so one of the cheapest signings we've had as of late, because we have been looking towards the $1,000 mark. And maybe this is the kind of signing we need to start making going forward to try and keep that wage bill down. But yeah, great to see that she's happy to join with such small terms. And yeah, one for the future for sure, and even one for now. With that said, though, she won't be here in time before the next show, I don't believe. So let's get to it. And so here we are then, and as for giving people the night off, once again, we're not going to do it. We're going to be running emos, which is now our home base, so let's do that. And of course, use all 4 broadcasters. So as for the booking team meeting then, we do want to try and get in a character idea for Matt Riddle, which I tried to do on the last show, but we didn't get one that would work for him. And we have one likely to succeed for Kevin Blackwood again, which we got in the last episode. And can we actually just get one for anyone or Matt Riddle that's likely to succeed, please? Okay, so this one's a near certainty for Viano Free Jr., so that's not what we're after. Please just give us one. And this one's a bit of a gamble for anyone, so maybe we'll use that. We will keep it. And this one's a big gamble for Thunder Rosa, so we're going to discard that. And that leaves us with 19 points and probably no character idea for Matt Riddle to try and get his morale up. That's fine. But next up we do have Chris Cash, who has turned up at the show and wants to be used. And I don't think we're going to use him on the show tonight, so I'm just going to say there's no spots available. Christy James, who we have used at shows before, wants to hang out backstage. She does have a selfish personality though, so we're going to say no, unfortunately. The backstage rumour mill has been in overdrive after Michael Dante and LJ Cleary apparently got into a heated argument. Now, of course, LJ Cleary also has the selfish personality, and yeah, he's messing with the wrong guy because Michael Dante owns the company, but yeah, we're used to that now with LJ, and we can have 1 or 2 bad eggs in the locker room, at least for now. And yeah, Emi Sakura has been doing training drills with Zeta Zhang, and that's all for incidents then, so not too much and nothing major, I don't think. And once again, we're going to leave Inspire for the show that the final of the Strong Style Roulette is on. Of course, tonight will just be the semi-finals, and what we might actually do is do a rib on Matt Riddle and see if he takes it well. So let's do that. And he's upset about your attempted rib. Okay. Right, so that hasn't gone well then. And he is irritated at being ribbed at Strong Style 43. Now, do we risk that character idea on him? As I say, it would be a bit of a gamble, but it's not a big gamble. So I think we're just going to go for it and hope it's a success. And it is actually, so that's good. But he is still annoyed, but at least he's closer to the green than he was before, or at least after the rib that failed. And we're also going to apply the character idea to Kevin Blackwood, which is likely to succeed, and I don't think he can get much happier, and he definitely can't get much more momentum, but we're going to apply it anyway, and it was a failure. Okay, that's not good. However, he is still white hot and is still happy. And as for Viano then, his creative idea is a near certainty. He is very happy and has white hot momentum, but since it expires next month, we might as well just use it, and it was a success. Okay, so he's even happier than he was before. Right, so as I say though, we do have the Strong Style Roulette today, and it's the semi-final and the final, and of course the semi-final will be happening tonight at Strong Style 43, so let's head over to the wheel. So on the wheel then is Alex Kane, who defeated a debuting Channing Thomas in the last episode. Matt Riddle is also on there, who has moved up from the junior heavyweight division and cheated to win against King Rex last time around, and Marshall Von Erich is also on the wheel after a clean win over the underutilized Schaff, and unfortunately for Schaff, he's continuing to be underutilized as the heir to the Von Erich throne. Picked up the win last time around. And of course, not shown on the wheel is Ryan Davidson, who is now a 2-time heavyweight champion after defeating Wardlow on the last episode in the first round of the Strong Style Roulette, which is a first in company history. And of course, every round there is a championship match up for grabs, and whoever is last on the wheel will earn that shot against Davidson this time around in the championship semi-final. But let's spin the wheel then and find out who will be going up in the first match, and then find out who they'll be taking on. So it's actually Matt Riddle, who won't be taking on Ryan Davidson this time around, but he has a chance to advance through to the final, and he will get that chance against whoever ends up on the wheel next. And it's going to be Marshall Von Erich, which makes a very interesting match, as they're definitely 2 of the best heavyweights and 2 of the favourites for the tournament. But that does leave Alex Kane, one of the most dominant competitors that we've seen in Strong Style so far, going up against Ryan Davidson. Now, does that mean we're going to see a new champion? So far in Strong Style, Alex Kane is undefeated, And the only time that he hasn't won is in a draw against Schaff in the Strong Style Showdown, and in the rematch Kane did win that one. So yeah, ever since he's been on a winning streak of 6 matches. Now will that continue tonight when he takes on the champion Ryan Davidson in the main event? Let's find out. Right, so let's run down the card then, as we're going to open up with a dark match between Channing Thomas and Adam Priest. Channing trying to pick up a win alongside his manager Angelina Love after being knocked out in the first round of the Strong Style Roulette. We'll then go to a women's 4-on-4 match as we try and build some experience within some tag teams. Ahead of the official launch of the women's tag team division, Kevin Blackwood will finally defend his junior heavyweight championship against Tyler Bate as we weigh up the question of who will be the junior heavyweight member of Hate. And of course, this one is 3 months in the making since Tyler Bate returned at Strong Style 40 and won the ladder match. Steve Austin will then make an announcement before Marshall Von Erich speaks. And then we go to a women's championship match as Miranda Elise makes defense number 2 against a, at the minute, mystery opponent. Marshall Von Erich and Matt Riddle will then meet in the semi-final of the Strong Style Roulette before the championship semi-final goes down in the main event as Ryan Davidson defends his heavyweight championship against the dominant Alex Kane. As for the workers that are on tonight's show, I've tried to keep our wage budget to around $10,000 tonight, as I believe in our last show we spent about $12,000, so I've tried to bring that down by about $2,000 just to cut some of the costs after the production upgrades. Basically, all of our major stars are on the show, but other than that, everybody else that's on the show is there either to go against a major star or because they're in the tournament. But with that said, let's get into the show itself then, as we start off with the dark match that had no chemistry apparently, as Channing Thomas has picked up his first Strong Style win against Adam Priest, who appears to be departing the company pretty soon after he won in 10 minutes 15 using a foreign object. And there was also a distraction from Angelina Love in the match as well. So we're trying to build up that partnership there. And yeah, Channing Thomas here with a good performance of 41, Adam Priest with a not so great 30, but we did get chemistry from the commentators, and Angelina Love did some good work at ringside as well, bringing us a solid 41 to kick off the show. And then we get into the second and final dark match as Nicole Matthews, Trish Adora, Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa have defeated Delilah Doom, Zeta Zhang and the Renegade Twins in a 8-woman tag match. And yeah, basically we're just trying to get Matthews, Adora, Kelly and Rosa on the show because they're major stars, and we basically just found any opponents that we could without breaking the bank, and we brought Delilah Doom in on a one-night deal, of course. And there's quite a lot to go through here, but Killer Kelly got a 72, Thunder Rosa with a 58, Trish Adora with a 53 and 52 there for Nicole Matthews, and you can see the rest of the performances there, but notably the Renegade Twins got a 43 without getting the chemistry boost that they normally get, because that doesn't apply in this kind of matchup. But in any case, our final dark match there gets a 59, which is solid. And next up, we go into the opening match of Strong Style 43 with a 77 rating as Tyler Bate, the challenger, has defeated Kevin Blackwood in 14 minutes 53, but by disqualification. And during the match, we had Viano Free Jr. run in and attack Blackwood. So what's going on? Is Bate in on this? And what is Tyler Bate and Viano up to? We will find out going forward, but for now, there are questions to be answered. And yeah, Kevin Blackwood here with a 70 performance compared to 64 for Tyler Bate, as the Veil Emerges storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat, and I'm not surprised with a rating that high. And yeah, 77, one of our best matches yet. And now the main event has some catching up to do, but we'll see how they get on later on in the night. And Steve Austin has announced that tonight he is forcing Miranda Elise to defend her title against somebody that hasn't been getting the run of the green recently, that being Hyan. Her performances have impressed him, and you can see her luck turning. So basically we needed to get Austin on the show, and we needed a challenger for Miranda Elise to get her some defenses under her belt. And yeah, we chose Hyan tonight, and because she doesn't really deserve one storyline-wise, particularly with her record, we've decided that Steve Austin has seen some potential in her, and this has hinted towards a face turn, because obviously Austin is a face. And basically Hyan is on the face side of the women's tag team division on that spreadsheet that we saw earlier, and we're building towards that now. And of course she's going to be teaming likely with Nicole Matthews. But yeah, good segment. Now we go to another segment where a cameraman approaches Marshall Von Erich about his chances of winning the Strong Style Roulette. before Von Erich insists that he's taking things one step at a time and his only focus right now is getting past Matt Riddle, and he adds that he does have a game plan. As the promo is going on, LJ Cleary can be seen in the background walking towards his car with his luggage, looking upset. He's then approached by AJ Mendez, who starts to speak with him. So two completely unrelated things here, but I wanted to do this a little bit more candidly rather than there just happening to be a cameraman following LJ Cleary as AJ approaches him. So yeah, we've approached Von Erich for an interview, and then we've just spotted that in the background. So this is basically all rated on Von Erich's promo ability here, with AJ Mendez and LJ Cleary being rated as background players. But so yeah, good promo actually with a 44, but we move on, and actually we need to address the gimmick change, so we're going to do that as well, and we're going to change LJ Cleary's gimmick to the cocky youth, and he got a very good, which is better than his past gimmick. Let's get to the Women's Championship match then, as Miranda Elise has of course defeated Hyan in 13 minutes 38 by pinfall using underhanded tactics, and this again building towards that Hyan face turn. And Miranda Elise has made defense number 2 of the Strong Style Women's title. Miranda Elise here though with a 64 and Hyan with a 48, and again Hyan using subtle mannerisms hinting towards a future face turn, and this got a 58 overall, so solid match. But how can tonight's Strong Style roulette matches get on? Let's find out, as Marshall Von Erich has picked up his biggest win of his Strong Style career yet, as he's defeated Matt Riddle in 15 minutes 11 by submission by debuting the Iron Claw. And this is also the name of the Von Erich family movie that recently released, I think last year. And it was a move created by Fritz, I believe, who is the father of the original Von Erich brothers. And then all of the brothers used a variation of it. And as for Marshall, it's a move that he uses in real life, but we've debuted it tonight, at least in our company, against Matt Riddle. And he said he had a game plan and he's pulled it off by beating the former MMA fighter by submission. And yeah, 56 for both men, so good performances all round, and Matt Riddle is apparently getting better at his gimmick as well, so that's a bonus. But we get a 62 here, and Marshall Von Erich goes through to the Strong Style Roulette final. But who joins him as champion? Let's find out. And yeah, by no means our best match of the night, but Alex Kane has actually defeated Ryan Davidson in 13 minutes 48 by pinfall with the mark of Kane, and now the second title change of the tournament has occurred, with the unstoppable right now Alex Kane winning the belt. And yeah, brand new heavyweight champion for the third time in recent memory, as Wardlow defeated Ryan Davidson. Davidson won it back in the first round of the roulette, and now Kane has defeated Davidson. And yeah, things are spicing up going into the final, as Marshall Von Erich is no doubt in with a shot of defeating Alex Kane, but can he be the one to stop the undefeated streak? We'll find out next month. But apparently, unfortunately, these two didn't click, which didn't help in their performance. But in any case, a 58 is a solid match for the main event. But it wasn't as good as the opening match, but it made sense that because that was a DQ finish, we kick things off with it, and then main event with, of course, the Strong Style Roulette, which is the main focus right now. But I'm sure we'll see Kevin Blackwood versus Tyler Bate again sometime soon. But let's find out how we did overall then, as we got a 57 rated show, and increased in popularity in 24 regions, which means we went up in the Mid-South, of course. And we only had 2 penalties this time around for production, as we build towards hopefully getting rid of all those reds in the near future, which will help our overall show rating. But let's address the locker room then, as we're going to praise Matt Riddle and actually give him a hug and try and give him a boost of morale. We're going to praise Ryan Davidson for a great performance, and we're also going to praise Kevin Blackwood for a great performance as well. Of course, all of these on the losing side, Kevin Blackwood by DQ, but nonetheless walked away without the win. And Matt Riddle was pleased, Ryan Davidson was pleased, and Kevin Blackwood was pleased. But how about financials then? As we spent less than what the booking analysis showed, with $9,480 on workers, which was significantly less than last time. The overall profit, though, was $2,278 on the night, that despite the production increases, so maybe we've got room for one more upgrade in this episode, but we'll see. And yes, solid night financially. But for popularity then, we've gone up in quite a few places, so up to 38 in the Mid-South, 15 in Midwest, southeast and southwest, as well as up to 4 in New England. We're up to 5 almost across the board in Canada, going up in Alberta and British Columbia, and everywhere else remains the same. And that profit was definitely helped by the attendance at the show, with 1,370 people being in the building this time around. And that's nearly a sellout for our venue, actually. I think it's 1,500 people can fit in the building. But yeah, that definitely helps our merchandise and our ticket sales. And we'll maybe look at production in just a second, but we can confirm the signing of Brooke Havoc, who now comes in. So let's take a look at production then and see if there is any upgrades that we can make. So we're currently spending $500 per night at running at the current broadcast quality. And if we were to upgrade, it would go to $2,500 per night, which would take away the profit that we just made. But again, as I said at the start of the episode, as long as we're making profit for the month, we should be okay. And with profit like that on the last show, I'm quite happy to make this jump, which takes us to Hired Pro now. So for Hired Pro, we're now one behind TNA and Reality of Wrestling, who are in-house. And to do that upgrade, it would cost $10,000 and $7,500 per month. So I think that's just out of our price range. But as for production values, it would cost a fee of $2,500, $7,500 per month, and $1,500 per night of shows. So again, out of our price range. And for now, I think we're at capacity when it comes to production. But once we start to make the required profit per month, we can definitely make those upgrades in the future, hopefully at some point this year. But we'll only be taking 2 minor hits because we're only 2 steps behind on both production values and broadcast quality. But that does mean though that for shows, we don't want to be spending sort of more than $10,000 if we can on workers. So we're going to try and limit that as much as we can. And speaking of upgrades, let's take a quick look at our merchandise upgrade, which we're currently undergoing. And yeah, we're at 34% for that. And as for our new signing, Brooke Havoc, let's double check her gimmick before we proceed. And her current gimmick is a swagger, and she is Emo Queen. So I'm quite happy to keep that. But with all that out of the way, let's go forward as close to the show as we can get, unless something comes up. And if not, we'll go straight into the show. So earlier in the video then, we discussed this roster outline, I guess, of the workers that we're looking to keep around and the ones that we're going to be transitioning out. Now, I think now's the time to start at least working towards cutting down the roster. So one thing I want to do is offer Eric Hammer a new contract that will be 3 months long. And this way we can build towards his last match and get him involved in one last feud, which, yeah, we're going to do now. So we're going to offer him everything he's asking for here, but we're going to make it 3 months long. So he'll be getting $50 per show. I'm going to currently offer 0% merchandise, but we'll see what he says and go from there. So yeah, apparently he's actually happy to take that offer. So we're going to go with that. And obviously a legend of the series at this point, has been with us since the very start. But he's now 47 years old. He's not getting any younger. He is slowly declining, particularly in physical attributes. You can see here that his stamina was 64. This time last year, it's now 58. And he's slowly but surely getting worse in the ring. Although he does still have 61 Puro, which is pretty solid. But if we do go back to the spreadsheet and look at the average ratings, you can see here that Eric Hammer is right near the bottom. Another person we're going to be transitioning out is MV Young, but I'm actually going to leave him for now and I'm going to give him a few losses on his way out the door. Adam Priest is somebody that's also going to get the same treatment, so he's not going to be gone immediately, but he will be picking up some losses in the coming weeks and months before we let him go for good. Casey Jacobs has, as I say, had his role removed as a wrestler, so we can delete him off here. And Matt Riddle will be having his contract expire on the 10th of April, and it's currently the 16th of February, so in just under 2 months' time. However, let's get to the show then, as we bring you the next Strong Style propaganda. Right, so as always, nobody's getting the night off. We're going to be running in emos. Perfect home for the Emo Queen, Brooke Havoc. So let's go with that. And we're also going to be using all 4 broadcasters. Right, so let's get to the booking team meeting then. And what we want is some character ideas for Matt Riddle, or at least one. And this one's a near certainty for anybody, so we've got exactly what we're after. And we're also going to pick a gimmick idea, maybe to use on Brooke Havoc. And this one's likely to succeed for anyone, so we'll do that after this creative meeting. We'll also mix it up and grab a storyline idea as well, which is likely to succeed. And why not get one creative finish while we're here, which is actually a big gamble, so we'll discard that. I don't really fancy using that, and that's all of our creative energy this time around. However, we do have some backstage incidents then, and Exodus Prime has turned up and asked if he's going to be able to be used tonight. He's 38 years old, lively personality, which is definitely good. But yeah, he's not great compared to our roster. So we're just going to say no, unfortunately, this time around. King Rex, though, brightened the mood after doing several funny cartoon drawings of his colleagues, which is good. Brooke Havoc, who also has a lively personality, which we pointed out when we signed her, was in a delightful mood and brought some great positive vibes to the locker room. Charlotte Renegade was brought before Wrestlers Court, accused of failing to pick up her share of the tab, and Steve Austin found her guilty, and this had a small positive impact. And according to others backstage, Joseph Finneck Jr. and Shaft are now travel buddies. Could we see Shaft join the Veil? Who knows? They do need a heavyweight, to be fair. Several people have remarked that Kevin Blackwood's been hanging out with King Rex, the two of our main guys there, and that's all for incidents. We have those creative ideas to use, so first we're going to use the gimmick idea on Brooke Havoc. So let's get that in, and we're going to deploy that creative idea here. So hopefully that can give her a big boost heading into her debut. And we also have that character idea, which we're going to use for Matt Riddle, of course, as we've discussed before. And it's a near certainty, so it should work. And yeah, so that's another successful character idea for him. And he's very warm momentum, but he is still annoyed. But hopefully we can chip away at these negatives over the coming months and at least try and tone down his drug use ahead of his potential return in the future, or maybe we end up just keeping him, who knows. But for now, he's not on the roster list that I've got, but of course that can always change, and he's got 2 months to change my mind, so we'll see how it goes. And of course we do have a storyline idea, which I don't think we necessarily need for our ongoing storylines, but I might start a new one and give it a boost off the jump, because all the ones that we've got right now are extremely hot. Right, so with that said, let's book the show. And the show is booked in then, but we're slightly over budget from the 10,000 that we're looking to spend on workers. We're at 11,860 it says on here. However, last time around it ended up costing less than it says. I'm not entirely sure why, so we'll see what it says at the end of the show. But I've done the best I can to get everybody on the show that's a major star, as well as tell the stories that we need to tell. So let's get into it then and see how it plays out. So Miranda Elise, Trish Adora, Thunder Rosa and Nicole Matthews are going to go head to head in 4-way action in one of the dark matches. And the second dark match will see LJ Cleary wrestle his first match with AJ Mendez in his corner, taking on Adam Priest. Then the main show will kick off with Killer Kelly taking on Zeta Zhang, who is interestingly an ally of Janai Kai, Killer Kai's longtime enemy. We then air a vignette for Brooke Havoc and her upcoming debut. Wardlow will then take on Eagle Blanc as he tries to bounce back after recently losing his heavyweight championship, with Eagle Blanc coming in as the big underdog in the cross-division match. MV Young, Channing Thomas and Matt Riddle will then team up to take on King Rex, Michael Dante and Ryan Davidson in a heavyweight 6-man tag match, before we have a video package hyping the upcoming Roulette final. Grand Dorado and Tyler Bates will then go one-on-one in tonight's main event, which should be a hell of a match, before we have some post-match scenes. So let's see how it plays out then and see what kind of ratings we can bring in. So we start off then with that 4-way match, and we get a 54 rating for it, with the women's champion Miranda Elise coming out on top after pinning Nicole Matthews with a roll-up. And yeah, Miranda Elise here, the worthy winner, with the highest rating of the match with a 64. Thunder Rosa not far behind with a 60, Trish Adora with a 57, and Nicole Matthews with a 54. And yeah, decent start to the show. And it looks like we have some bad news when it comes to LJ Cleary and AJ Mendez, as despite picking up the win over Adam Priest, Cleary and Mendez are an awkward pairing and have no chemistry whatsoever. So it looks like those plans might have to be scrapped. But still a good performance there from Cleary with a 61 and Adam Priest with a 39, so I think better than his last performance, bringing us in a 57 to take us into the main show. And then the main show kicks off with a technical masterclass as Killer Kelly has defeated Zeta Zhang in 14 minutes 32 with a curb stomp, and this gives us a 67 rating overall. And yeah, we're continuing to tease that heel turn for Zeta Zhang, and we're just going to let it build up a little bit so it's a bit more successful once it happens. Killer Kelly gets a 71 and Zeta Zhang gets a 51, as Kelly puts on a great performance once again. But the Back from the Dead storyline, interestingly, has advanced with this segment and gained heat. Now, of course, that's the Janai Kai storyline, with her returning alongside the rest of the Dojo Demons. So now it looks like Killer Kelly might be getting involved in that feud going forward, and this gives us a 67 to start things off. And then we go to a video package that shows footage of tonight's venue Emos from this past Saturday night. Of course, we've covered this venue in the past, and it originally started as a Houston punk club before opening another branch in Austin. And yeah, that's where we're working our shows recently. A young woman then can be seen having a good time with friends while a hardcore/punk gig happens in the packed out venue. Various clips from the night play over heavy music, and then the woman is shown in the middle of a mosh pit before an overzealous man pushes into everyone, taking it too far. And then the young woman stands up to the man and kicks him between the legs as he drops to his knees as she continues to dance. We then cut to her crowd surfing towards the stage as the text "Brook Havoc" appears on the screen. And yeah, we've brought in a local worker, Gary J, here for this segment, and he's going to play the role of the man in the mosh pit, and then Brook Havoc is of course the woman that was referenced in there. And Havoc has debuted her emo queen gimmick and got a very good, and the rise of the emo queen storyline has started with this segment, and the gimmick idea that we used was a success, as you can see by that rating. So yeah, 28 to kick things off. Not great, but it's something to build from. And as we saw earlier, she's not massively over in the Mid-South, so there is some work to be done. But I do think her segment rating here was higher than her popularity, so that's good to see. And next up, we go to the cross-division match between heavyweight Wardlow and junior heavyweight Eagle Blanc. And as expected, Wardlow does manage to defeat the underdog there in 9 minutes 41 by pinfall with a power bomb symphony. So Eagle Blanc going 10 minutes with Wardlow is pretty impressive in itself, but he wasn't able to pick up the win tonight. But Wardlow did have an in-ring performance of 56, which is pretty good, and Eagle Blanc there with a 54. And overall, a 59 segment, which is a solid match as we continue to build up this card. And the commentary team once again had pretty good chemistry, and AJ Mendez did some good work at ringside for Wardlow, unlike what happened with LJ Cleary. But yeah, let's move on then as we go to the heavyweight 6-man tag team match where the babyfaces King Rex, Michael Dante and Ryan Davidson have defeated MV Young, Channing Thomas and Matt Riddle in 13 minutes 29 when King Rex pinned MV Young. So yeah, protecting Channing Thomas and Matt Riddle whilst giving the crowd a babyface win tonight. And some important momentum for King Rex after being knocked out of the strong style roulette in the first round by Matt Riddle, who was on the other team tonight. And yeah, Matt Riddle there with a 64, Channing Thomas with a 58, MV Young 44, Ryan Davidson the highest of the match with a 67, Michael Dante though only with a 46 but ahead of MV Young, whilst King Rex got a 55. And once again we saw that boost from the commentary team. Angelina Love did some good work at ringside, and as did Killer Kelly, who was of course alongside Michael Dante. It does say though that Michael Dante's gimmick is getting stale, so we definitely have to tweak that after the show, so I'll put that down in my notes. But yeah, that's a 65 match to take us into the main event then, and a video package then airs hyping next month's Strong Style Roulette final between Marshall Von Erich and new Strong Style heavyweight champion Alex Kane. Each man cuts a short promo discussing their chances of winning, and yeah, very simple way to get them on the show with a 54 rating for this one, which is pretty good. But then we go to the main event then, which gets a slightly less rating than I was expecting, to be honest, but Tyler Bate was off his game. But Tyler Bate has defeated Gran Dorado in 15 minutes 17 by pinfall while using the ropes for leverage. Now that is a tactic that we've seen a certain luchador use in recent times, and that certain luchador is somebody that interfered in one of Tyler Bates' recent matches, causing a disqualification. So again, is something happening there between Viano and Tyler Bate? We'll see how it plays out. But for now, Tyler Bate picks up a important win tonight in a singles match against our top Mexican luchador. And then after the match, Kevin Blackwood walks down to the ring to confront Tyler Bate after the match, as he wonders if Bate is working with the Veil. And Blackwood shoves Bate, who then shoulder barges past him and walks up the ramp. And yeah, once again self-explanatory, and the Veil emerges storyline has advanced with this segment, but did lose heat, but it was still pretty good with a 70 rating nonetheless. But let's see how the show did overall then, and we got a 62. So a strong show there, and we improved our popularity in 24 regions, which is always the aim. The show interestingly benefited from having a wide selection of angles. Now I'm not sure if we've seen that before, but we did have a video package, a live angle, and also an interview angle. So yeah, that's interesting to see. That might be something worth thinking about going forward. But the show did have a couple of hits due to production, but nonetheless a strong rating in front of our record crowd of 1,562. And by the way, I did check, and Emo's capacity is 1,700, so we've almost sold it out. And we've only been here a few months, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, and we might have to look for a new home sooner than expected. However, let's address the locker room then and praise some of the losers on the night, and once again we're going to praise Matt Riddle and try and get him on side so we can have an intervention with him, and maybe that'll persuade us to keep him around. We're also going to praise Brandorado, and also we're going to praise, I think, Eagle Blanc, who did well tonight, and we're going to put them all on great performance there. And Matt Riddle's pleased, Grandorado's seemed pleased, and so did Eagle Blanc. Now, as for finances then, it might be difficult to turn a profit tonight with the production increase that we recently did, and also being slightly over budget when it comes to talent, but let's see. And yeah, we actually spent $9,570 on workers, so why is it less than what it says on the other screen? That I'm not entirely sure, but I'm happy with that anyway. And we made a profit of $4,399 somehow. Now, am I going crazy here, or is the production costs not showing on this screen? Maybe that's what it is. What I'm going to do after the show is take a look at the finances screen and see if production is like separate from this screen. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, we are making a good profit though of $4,399. But what will be key is whether we make a profit at the end of the month, which we will check in just a second. But for popularity then, have we gone up yet another number in the Mid-South? And we haven't. Okay, so we're stuck at 38 for now, but we have gone up in several other regions. But we have gone up to 5 all across the British Isles. The Maritimes and Quebec in Canada have gone up to 5. Puerto Rico and Hawaii up to 4. Northwest up to 9. And Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes. So some slow and steady growth there across the world. But let's try and find those production costs that we were talking about just there. So if we take a look here, there is the money that we're spending. So last month we spent $1,747 on production. This month we spent $10,332. But that does include $1,000 for an upgrade, so it'll be slightly less next month. But we'll see what that figure is at the end of the month, because there might be some running costs over the rest of the month, so that might be slightly higher, but we will check that out at the end of the month, as I say. We do have an interesting news story of Thea Hale rising, which means she's somebody in the save that's got good potential, but she is with NXT right now and will be for almost 2 years at this point. She is a former champion in one of my GM mode saves, so maybe we can look at bringing her in at some point. But let's focus on this save for now, though. And we do have some interesting emails, as Malachi Black has officially left AEW. Now, we discussed his situation in the last episode, and also, Pac has officially left AEW as well. And this follows the exit of Bandido, which I believe we covered on the last episode. I think he'd already left by the time that episode had finished. We do have news from Deadlock that Hyan suffered a dislocated shoulder, so she is currently out of action, and this injury happened earlier this month on the 4th of February. And we also have confirmation that Wardlow has left the NWA officially and is now exclusively with us. And speaking of news stories, I've just noticed some things related to the House of Black in AEW, and there's actually a new member, Ty Mello, and she's been added to the stables lineup. But not only that, but following the exit of Malachi Black, they have a new leader, and Mina Shirakawa is now the leader of the House of Black. And the House of Black now consists of Mina Shirakawa, Buddy Matthews, and Ty Mello, which is very interesting. So no Brody King either. And I assume he's still on the roster, and he is. So yeah, he's just left the group. And I believe Julia Hart, though, did actually leave AEW. And I was potentially looking at bringing her in, but I think we're going to hold off on that one for now. Oh, and there's actually one more AEW story that we should cover, as Orange Cassidy has left AEW as well, and he signed for WWE. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on over in Stamford. And we have skipped forward a little bit, and we can confirm the new contract for Eric Hammer. So he'll be leaving officially in 3 months' time. And we're going to try and work towards a major match to finish things off for him. And we also have news that Hyan is now back from injury as well. Right, so I have skipped forward to the end of the month then, and we're going to check out the finances. But we do have some news regarding Marshall Von Erich. Now, apparently he's split up with his partner who is dating, and it's somebody that wasn't in the business, which is why it doesn't have a name. And we also have news that Juice Robinson and Tony Storm are now married, so congratulations to them. Pac's short tour with All Japan Pro Wrestling has now finished, and he was only there for a week. But other than that, we have the regional battles, and we finished first, despite having slightly lower show ratings because of the production stuff. But still, we're going up in popularity, we're winning the regional battles, and while we're not currently reaching the mid-70s for our shows, things could probably be worse. So yeah, that's fine. But how are we doing financially then? As yeah, the production did slightly go up to 11,000. I mean, 10,000 more than last month. Now, imagine if we didn't do those production upgrades, maybe we would be into record profit, but we need to invest to be able to get back. It's money well spent, I think, and we're still making a profit. And I think once this gets to over $7,500 of profit, we're going to reinvest that into one of the other production upgrades. Hopefully we can do that in the next few months. I don't think it's going to be probably until at least June or July maybe. And I think the next one that we would do would be broadcast quality. It would cost $10,000 to do upfront and then $7,500 per month, as I say. Okay, so here we are then, and let's give Nobody the night off once again. Same old stuff. We're going to go to emos, and we're using all 4 broadcasters. And now let's get to the booking team meeting. So we've got a few things that we might need, so let's take a look then. So I think we still might need a character idea for Matt Riddle. And I'm not sure whether they stopped taking effect after a while, but we're going to just try one more. And this one's a bit of a gamble, so we're going to leave that one. We're going to try one more, and if it's not any good, we'll not get any more for now. And this one's a safe bet for anyone, so we're going to apply that and try and get him at least out of angry. We're going to get a creative finish for tonight's main event, and this one's a safe bet for anyone, so that's good. And we'll also grab, why not, another creative finish. And this one's a big gamble for Tyler Bates, so I think we're going to discard that one. And that is all our creative energy done then. But let's go to the locker room incidents, where apparently there was an argument between Matt Riddle and LJ Cleary. So 2 bad personality types clashing there backstage. Apparently King Rex and Gran Dorado butted heads and are both furious with each other, which is interesting. Gran Dorado is a mercenary, which may be why. And King Rex, remember, is a people person and has never really been in any bad incidents, I don't believe. Yeah, not good there from Dorado. Thunder Rosa has been passing on tips on selling to protege Janai Kai, which is good to see. And she's also been passing on psychology tips to Charlotte Renegade as well as selling once again to Robin Renegade. Okay, so some good incidents actually there. And we are actually going to pull a rib, and this one will be on Matt Riddle. So he didn't take it well last time. Maybe he can take it better this time. So let's see. And it did go down well with the rest of the locker room, but there was no response from Riddle. But yeah, let's get into the booking then, after we apply this character idea to Matt Riddle, as we try and at least make him somewhat pleased with us ahead of his upcoming exit. So not only can we re-sign him, but we can potentially talk him out of several bad habits. So let's do that then and go to creative idea and deploy it. So this one was a success, and he's still angry but has hot momentum. In fact, I'm also going to try and give him a small bonus of $1,000 and see what happens. And now he's only annoyed. Okay, so that's all booked in then. So let's run down the card before we get into it. And we're going to open up with a dark match between Matt Riddle and Adam Priest. That's before we go into a 6-man tag match where Ryan Davidson, Gran Dorado, and Eric Hammer, who interestingly is on the babyface side of things tonight, will take on Channing Thomas, LJ Cleary, and MV Young. This before we go into the main broadcast where Steve Austin will make an announcement. Miranda Elise will defend her women's championship against Nicole Matthews, who herself is a former champion, and Trish Adora, as we just try and get some defenses under her belt. No spoilers. Brooke Havoc will then have another vignette. And speaking of Brooke Havoc, I'm going to add the creative idea to the Rise of the Emo Queen storyline. So let's do that. And the storyline idea has been deployed and will impact the story the next time that it is advanced. And speaking of that, actually, let me just go in and make sure the storyline is being advanced, because it's just one person in the vignette. And then we go into a tag team match with Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa taking on the Renegade Twins. This for the first time 2-on-2. Then we have a match that follows up on the recent events of Tyler Bate and his potential links to Viano Free Jr., as Kevin Blackwood, Tyler Bate, and leader of Hate, Michael Dante, will team up in what is a test for Tyler Bate as they take on Viano Free Jr. and Joseph Finneck Jr. of the Vale, as well as their recruit for the match, Wardlow. So Wardlow, of course, himself is looking to prove a point after recently dropping the heavyweight championship to Ryan Davidson, and yeah, he's looking to get back on track alongside the Vale. And in the main event, of course, we have the final of the Strong Style Roulette, as Alex Kane defends his heavyweight championship against the next in line to the Von Erich throne, Marshall Von Erich. So will there be the third title change of this Strong Style Roulette? It'll be interesting to see. And then we have some after show scenes as well, as there's a segment that is storyline based but won't be broadcasted. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but let's find out what happens first. So Matt Riddle has defeated Adam Priest in our night's technical masterclass in 15 minutes 06 by submission with a bro mission. And yeah, we're just getting Matt Riddle some momentum here whilst Adam Priest is being phased out. However, I have noticed here that he's got a 42, which is pretty good actually, and is much higher than his average of 37.5, so maybe he's not cooked after all. But for now, we open up with a 56 overall in the dark match. And next up, we go into another dark match where Ryan Davidson, Gran Dorado, and Eric Hammer have defeated Channing Thomas, LJ Cleary, and MV Young when Eric Hammer submitted MV Young. And we have that bad chemistry once again for LJ Cleary and AJ Mendez, but I think we're going to have to find a way to write them off, because it wouldn't make sense just to drop it, or maybe we just do drop the storyline, but we'll see. But for now, we're going to keep them together, even if it does damage the matches somewhat. But with that said, we had Angelina Love doing some good work at ringside to kind of counteract it anyway. Eric Hammer got a 49. Ryan Davidson was the man of the match with a 64. Just behind him was Gran Dorado with a 62. LJ Cleary with a 60. Channing Thomas with a 58, Eric Hammer with a 49, and MV Young there with a 46. But overall, a 61 match is not a bad way to lead us into the show, where Steve Austin announces from the Broken Skull Ranch that at Strong Style 45, so next month, the first ever women's tag team champions will be crowned. The winner of tonight's tag match will face the winner of the tag match on Strong Style Propaganda. The matches will be Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa versus the Renegade Twins, which is tonight, as well as Janai Kai and Zaya Chow versus Christy Janes and Black Swan. Now, I was tempted to put Hyan and Nicole Matthews into this, with them having the experience, but we're going to hold that off just for now, as Nicole is in tonight's Women's Championship match, but they will, of course, be in and around the scene once it's more established. But yeah, we do have the chemistry between Christy Janes and Black Swan, who are two local workers, so that should do quite well, just for a propaganda match. And the Back from the Dead storyline has advanced with this segment, and this got a 67, so good promo overall, and good exposure for the women involved as well, especially the Renegade Twins, Christy Janes and Black Swan. But for now, let's move on to the Women's Championship match then, where Miranda Elise has successfully defended her championship by pinning Nicole Matthews after using underhand tactics, and makes defense number 3 of her Strong Style Women's title. Miranda Elise got a 65, Trish Adora got a 56, and Nicole Matthews there with a 53. So the former champion actually the worst of the match, unfortunately for her. Trish Adora does have a gimmick that's getting stale, so we do need to tweak that. And another video package airs for Brooke Havoc, who discusses growing up as an outcast before she found music and wrestling, where she found like-minded people at shows. Her passion for wrestling will take her to the top of Strong Style Americas, no matter how much the odds are stacked against her. She says that she will find a way. And we used the storyline idea on this one, and it was a success, and the Rise of the Emo Queen storyline has automatically advanced with this segment, and we got a 41 overall. So actually a really good vignette, and this was based on character development, so charisma and mic skills, and we know that she has good charisma. So yeah, the segment was better off this time around than it was for the vignette last time around, which got 20 something. So yeah, good to see. And now let's move on to the women's tag team match, where we'll find out who advances through to the championship match, and it's actually Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa after Killer Kelly pinned Robin Renegade with a curb stomp, and Killer Kelly was head and shoulders above everybody else there with a 75, Thunder Rosa with a 57, and both Renegade twins with a 48. Unfortunately, the creative finish that we used was a failure, as we had one for Killer Kelly, and I believe it was a safe bet, or at least it was one of the positive odds. So yeah, that's not good. But either way, we do have great chemistry with both teams, and this tag team specialist boost with Charlotte Renegade and Robin Renegade. But a 62 overall to take us in to the semi-main event then, where Wardlow and The Veil have defeated Kevin Blackwood, Tyler Bate and Michael Dante in 15 minutes 19, when Viano Free Jr. pinned Kevin Blackwood, notably the junior heavyweight champion, with a roll-up after Kevin Blackwood and Tyler Bate miscommunicated. So we're continuing the teases of what is Tyler Bate doing, and yeah, miscommunication has helped Viano get a pin over the champion, and probably earning himself a junior heavyweight championship match at the same time. Now remember, Tyler Bate does still have a claim to the title as well, after his match ended in disqualification, but was that intentional? Was it not? We'll see going forward. But the man of the match there was Viano Free Jr. with a 75, Kevin Blackwood got a 70, Tyler Bate got a 68, so not too far behind him. Wardlow got a 51, so good from him. Joseph Annett Jr. also not too far behind him with a 49, and Michael Dante with a 43 as the worst of the match, but still a solid performance. Killer Kelly and AJ Mendez did some good work at ringside, and the creative finish that we used was a success. We get a 73 overall here. But now let's go to the main event then, where in a bout that had superb wrestling and good heat, Alex Kane has defeated Marshall Von Erich in 14 minutes 41 by pinfall with the mark of Kane. Now, I decided to use the creative finish on the other match as opposed to the main event, because it had Michael Dante and Wardlow in it, which would have brought down the rating otherwise, and I felt comfortable within Alex Kane and Marshall Von Erich's ability here, and it's paid off as they've got a 75 here, one of the best heavyweight title matches that we've seen in some time. Maybe we can check that out after the match. But yeah, Alex Kane had too much for Marshall tonight, and whilst we could have gone crazy and had 3 title changes in this roulette, Alex Kane was always going to be the winner of this one. It just depended on how the cards fell for the draw, and yeah, he's won the Strong Style Roulette, and he makes defense number 1 of his Strong Style heavyweight title. And it looks like we did make the right decision, as Alex Kane got a 68 and Marshall Von Erich got a 59, and as I say, 75 overall, which is great to see. Definitely helped by the prestige of the Strong Style Roulette. And after the show comes to a close, Wardlow can be seen walking to the top of the ramp to watch Alex Kane's celebrations before AJ Mendez pulls him back through the curtain. And is this a sign of a future match to come? So it looks like we might be seeing the two big men clash at some point, with Wardlow, of course, got his eyes on the title after dropping it so soon. And we got a 49 for this one, and I didn't really want to risk actually putting this on the broadcast because I thought the rating wouldn't be as high as the main event. So I did it as a post-show segment, and yeah, we can sort of get the internet buzzing about this one. But let's go on, and we get a 69 overall, which is good to see, and improved in popularity in 24 regions. And once again, we benefited from a wide selection of angles. We did have 2 hits to production though, which is fine, but we had 1,624 people in the building tonight for a record crowd. And let's go to the post-show stuff then, as we're going to praise Matt Riddle and try and make him happier by telling him he's awesome. We're going to actually praise the winner of the main event tonight. We don't normally praise winners, but we're praising 2, and we're going to tell him that he's awesome, so Alex Kane, of course. And we're also going to praise one of the losers, I think, and why not give Marshall Von Erich a little boost and tell him he had a great performance and see what they say. So Matt Riddle was happy with the speech, Alex Kane seemed pleased, and so did Marshall Von Erich. But how about financials then, as we made a profit once again of $2,574, but as we know, the production costs aren't taken into account on this screen. It's all about what happens over the month. But we did slightly overspend on what we're aiming for with $10,000 and instead spent $12,300, but still that's fine. We sold plenty of tickets and merchandise to make up for it. And now let's go to the popularity recap then. And did we increase in the Mid-South to end the episode? And we did. We went up to 39 there, so we're nearly hitting 40 already, and we went up to 6 in Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And to end the episode then, let's find out how that match ranked in terms of heavyweight championship matches. Now, I believe it is the highest ranked one so far, and if we take a look, it actually is by quite some distance. Now, of course, we've got a 75 between Alex Kane and Marsha von Erich, and the second best match for the heavyweight title, from what I can see, is a 62. So it looks like the decision to put Alex Kane and Marsha von Erich into the final was the right call, and not only that, but to put the belt on Alex Kane, who had the highest rating within the match. But let me know what you think of that strong style roulette down in the comments below, and we're going to leave this episode here with lots of things being teased for the next one, including first women's tag team champions, the impending debut of Brooke Havoc, and what the hell is Tyler Bate doing? And if you have enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like down below as we try and hit 400 likes once again. Subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the next episode. And until next time, peace.